An iconic Detroit hotel falls victim to the pandemic and its restrictions. We'll talk to the owner of the Book Cadillac. Fewer babies? Bad news for the future across the U.S. and here in Michigan. And why did we spring our clocks forward last weekend? Today is Sunday, March 21st, 2021, and this is Flashpoint.
Hi, welcome to Flashpoint. Welcome to spring, and what we all hope is a season of renewal. The progress on the vaccine has been pretty promising of late, and tomorrow, Ford Field goes from NFL Stadium to massive vaccine center. But the progress is tempered by big jumps in cases of COVID, including these worrisome variants, which in turn just makes it more important for the vaccine effort to push forward and accelerate. As we start to poke our heads out from our quarantine quarters, we're starting to take in some of the pandemic fallout. And one really interesting takeaway is what didn't actually happen. A little later this morning, far from a baby boom, we're going to talk about a drop in birth rates, and it is far more consequential than many people realize. But up first, we know how bad the pandemic has been for the hospitality and travel industry. This week, we learned the Book Cadillac Hotel is in foreclosure. We're going to talk with the hotel's owner, John Furchill. And also, are you tired of changing the clocks twice a year? A lot of people are. But should we actually do anything about it? It's all today on Flashpoint. All right, let's start with the news that broke last week on the Book Cadillac Westin Hotel in downtown Detroit. It was in many ways one of the real starting points for the resurgence of downtown. And it has long seemed to me that it was more than a hotel opening or a building rehab. The way that great building came together and came back to life set the bar pretty high for others who wanted to be a part of the Detroit comeback. I'm happy to have with us the man who brought that building back to life, the current owner, John Furchill. John, it is good to have you back on Flashpoint, though I guess not under the circumstances you would prefer, right?
Yeah, once in a lifetime event like the pandemic, nobody could prepare for, and it's just sad is probably the right word to look at what's happening, especially to the hotel, but also to the whole city of Detroit, the state of Michigan.
You're $77 million in debt that haven't been able to make a payment on it since last May. But you said something interesting this week. The mortgage holder, the note holder is City Real Estate Funding, and you suggested that you don't think they're all that interested in working with you because this is a property that maybe they'd like to have.
Well, I don't. Yeah, I said that, but it just, we don't really get any relief from them at all. I mean, we've already put $5 million into to keep the lights on, to do the, just the security, and the minimal amount of people come in. We have, one or two people working there in terms of the reservations and stuff like that, but we still have security, we still have heat, we still have electricity, we still have taxes, we still have all the rest of that going on. So there's really not much we can do. When we were in our heyday, we were running at 40 to $42 million a year of revenue, and now we're doing maybe 3, 4, 5. It's not very much. Let's put it to you that way. So we can't do much about it.
Do you see any hope for you to be able to hang on to it, or have you basically given up on that idea now?
Well, we've had a number of very interested and very well-heeled investors, partners that came in and offered to work with us, and we're working with a few of them now. But the lender is the lender, and I don't think they realize the difficulty of what we have to do, but we're trying to get them to give us some leeway to do some things, and we're not out of it, and we're not away from it yet, but we still have a ways to go. Our game plan right now is to try to do it as honorably as we can and as good as we can to do the right thing. But at the end of the day, there's a very unique situation in Michigan called right of redemption. And if they take it, we got 2 years to take it back. So that right now our game plan is to try to get a deal resolved now so we can go forward and get open and start running again. Depending, by the way, on the state of Michigan, which has been horrendous in terms of, we've never seen it in the 5 states we're in. This is by far the worst state in terms of trying to get business done. In fact, I came in here for a meeting one day, and the only place I could go eat, I took the investor. We went to Coney Island. That was the only thing open in the whole damn downtown.
A lot of Detroiters would actually say that you did pretty well. That's, of course, the classic Detroit lunch. But I'm curious, though, as the entire hospitality space. I mean, you're right. Michigan has shut down. The governor's moves have shut down businesses to a larger degree than a number of our neighbors. But hotels, hospitality, the lack of travel, the lack of really any international travel. I mean, haven't all hotels fared about the same?
Nope. If you were I'm in Florida this week. If you would see what in Arizona, it's like there's no pandemic. The hotels are filled. You know, the restaurants are completely filled. We have not served 1 ounce of food since the day the pandemic hit, and it's just not. It's unbelievable. You just can't get anywhere, and I don't know what the agenda is. And I think I said this already. My employees, these 400 people don't have jobs. Yeah. And, I don't know what they're doing. I know, and we tried for a long time to keep them all on, but just couldn't do anything about it.
Well, I was going to ask you that next. Our approach in the U.S. has been very different than what they did in Europe, where they basically gave money to businesses under the condition that you go ahead and keep your employees on the payroll. In the U.S., we decided we were better off letting businesses lay them off and then backfilling and supporting unemployment programs. Have we done this right?
No. We used a lot of we have some PPP money that we've used, but it really wasn't the right way to do it. Now, the new problem that's going to come up is once this thing gets up and running, there's a lot of people not going to come back to work because they can make more money staying home. And it's going to affect us enormously. And I see a downsizing of the whole that industry, the hospitality industry, because you're not going to have trouble finding people that want to go to work.
You mentioned the restaurant and food. That's a big part of that space. And Michael Symon's roast, which I remember as you walked me through the week before the opening. The reason that restaurant is there because Michael Symon hung out with your kids, hung out at your house when he was a youngster back in Cleveland. Should we fear for the survivability of the restaurant if you're not attached to the hotel?
I don't know that. Michael's been a great personal friend. He's actually closer to my son who owns the restaurant, but I think they're making decisions based on their whole overall food industry. Yeah. I mean, the Book Cadillac will be one of those decisions. I mean, they have closed a number of Michael Symon restaurants already because the same problem. They don't really have any way to be financially viable with the rules that are in place today.
Lastly, John, and I've told you this one-on-one before, I'm wondering if you have been able to develop a full appreciation for just what the Book Cadillac meant at the time. It was one of the first things, of course, with many to follow, but as I mentioned, it set the bar awfully high. I have to believe that the pride that you feel in that project must be a big part of the pain that you're feeling now over what's happening.
Oh, it's devastating, to be honest with you, because this is the trophy property that we have. It's the trophy property in Detroit. I mean, it is the reason everybody went there. When you have people like Roger Penske and Dan Gilbert and those people saying, if you don't come here and get this thing started up, we don't know where this whole would have come about. And now I look at Detroit, and I really truly believe that Detroit's the greatest turnaround, will be the greatest turnaround in the history of American cities when it's all done. I mean, if you'd see the other areas where I've been in the 5 other states and cities and places like that where we're doing business, Detroit's actually in better physical shape than any place else would. They have less damage, less harm of protests than any place else we are. I'm proud of the city of Detroit. I just think everybody ought to get back to work. And these governors don't understand the real world. That just gets down to that, and they make no sense. They don't make any sense at all.
We're going to hope for better things ahead for you here, John. I really am grateful for your time today, and hopefully we'll talk about better things ahead the next time we meet. Thanks so much, and stay safe.
I hope so. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll take a quick break. We come back. What does the declining birth rate mean for all of us, for our world? This is Flashpoint on Local 4.
Hot Tub and Swim Spa Show this weekend at the Hot Tub Store Rochester, corner of Avon and Rochester Road. Hot Tub Swim Spas in stock for immediate delivery. Save thousands, $79 a month. Hot Tub and Swim Spa Show this weekend, Hot Tub Store Rochester. Call 1-800-SPA-SALE, MichiganSpaShow.com.
When you think of DraftKings, you might think sports, but there's so much more. DraftKings used their top-of-the-line technology to create a mobile casino app for a new way to get skin in the game, offering all the games you love, including blackjack, roulette, slots, and more. Download the DraftKings Casino app to play for real cash prizes. Play for over $3.5 million in prizes by opting into the Leaderboard Legends series. Don't wait. Download the DraftKings Casino app now and make it rain.
No matter what's going on outside, we all want to be warm and cozy inside, especially this winter. We're USA Insulation, and we fix cold homes. When you have inferior insulation, it doesn't matter how much you crank up your furnace. Your expensive warm air still leaks out of your walls and attic. When we inject our premium foam into your walls, it's like wrapping a coat around your entire home. And just wait until you see how much money that saves you. So stop freezing and start saving.
USA Insulation.
The Hot Tub and Swim Spa Show this weekend at the Hot Tub Store Rochester, corner of Avon and Rochester Road. Hot Tub Swim Spas in stock for immediate delivery. Save thousands, $79 a month. Hot Tub and Swim Spa Show this weekend, Hot Tub Store Rochester. Call 1-800-SPA-SALE, MichiganSpaShow.com.
Like so many kids, Fiona dreamt of going to space and even went to space camp.
I really wanted to be an astronaut, like most kids who were doing that.
But that was just the beginning. Monday morning at 6:30, Local 4's Paul Gross reveals how she turned her dream into a reality and became a real NASA flight director. See her inspiring mission and how she's launching to the top of the ranks at NASA. Monday on Local 4 News Today.
You know, we found ourselves locked down in quarantine last year. There were more than a few jokes about the baby boom that would likely be the result of a lot of people trapped in close quarters without much to do. That didn't happen. 9 months after the pandemic, not only did we not see a birth surge, we have seen a drop in births, and that continues a trend we have seen across the world. One that has deep and profound consequences that demographers and population scientists are watching. I'm joined this morning by one of them, Dr. Pamela Smock, a sociologist at the University of Michigan's Population Studies Center. Pamela, I don't know that you were all that surprised to see that we didn't have a baby boom, because I think studies show us that when people are under stress, whether it's mental stress or economic stress, they don't reproduce, right?
Absolutely. That's right. We've seen this before. We saw a little bit of it in the 2008 recession. But in 2008, we didn't also have this global pandemic. So we had both things. We have an economic crisis and a health crisis. And economics have always affected family behaviors, including getting married, staying married, and also having kids.
We have societal changes that have been happening all over the world as well. People talk about how lonely they are. Loneliness has become an epidemic. People are waiting longer to find a partner, which shortens, I guess, your reproductive window. But this is all part of a very, a massively profound change that's happening across the world, isn't it?
It is, and that's why there's so much attention to this issue of the baby bust in my world and other kinds of social and behavioral sciences and public health, because it has such profound implications for things that we might not normally think about. If this continues, if this is deep and long, then we're going to have a much smaller cohort of kids growing up into adulthood who are going to support us in terms of Social Security. So this has profound implications for Social Security, for economic growth and issues like that.
In fact, if a population doesn't replace itself with the same number of people, or in general the same number, the stress that puts on that smaller generation to take care of a massive group of older aging people becomes a huge, complicated problem.
Absolutely. The thing that I also want to stress is that fertility rates have been declining in the U.S. and other countries, European countries and other places, for many, many years now. So this baby bust is on top of this decline we've already been seeing. So the consequences could be quite tremendous.
Yeah, now, I know I can tell some people would be saying, oh, these are just the same alarmists who back in the 70s told us that we were on the other side of the problem. We were about to have this massive overpopulation of the world, and we don't have the resources for that. Does this feel different, or is this an ebb and flow of the way the world works?
This feels, in terms of my lifetime, this feels different. This feels bigger. This feels like it's caused a seismic change in the culture and the economy and all these, in families, in the educational system. But I would also say that demographers didn't predict the baby boom, right, of 1947 to 1963.
Right.
Coming out of the Great Depression, fertility was low. Nobody predicted the baby boom. We didn't know we'd go to a war and then have a booming economy. So demographers are not always able to see into the future. But all the data that I've looked at and all the reports I've read, the recent data is very much unified that the only question, we are in a bust. The only question is how long and how deep is it going to be? The longer and deeper, the more profound the consequences for society will be.
Well, and of the two problems that you point out, so we have dropping fertility rates, which seems like a medical and scientific problem that we have to solve, versus this societal one and economic one. Are any of them solvable? How do we push forward?
That's a very complicated question. That's a very good question. One way to push forward is to think about ways that perhaps policies can make it easier to have children and to have more children. I think that gets at one aspect of your question. As far as the economy goes, that's not my area of expertise, so I can't answer that question. Like everything else, though, we've always found a way. We talk about below replacement fertility, which we've had for a while, and this is making it even worse. But it would take a long, long time for any society to just disappear. And plus, we are helped because of immigration. Immigration helps us keep our level at replacement level. So that's a very important thing that not everybody knows. Immigration is vital to maintaining our population.
Well, in fact, you point out something that's really difficult. Any change that we make, it takes a generation for us to see the real change, right?
Right. And talking to journalists, I always find I have to explain to them how long it takes to get data to answer their question about something that happened yesterday.
Right. I
say, well, it's going to cost $5 million because we have to do the right survey. But I'm so impressed by my colleagues who are doing this work on the baby bus now, because they're really, really moving fast to get answers.
It's fascinating stuff, Pamela. I could talk to you about it for all day. I so appreciate the time. Thanks so much for being with us today.
Oh, you're so welcome. Pleasure.
Bet. We come back, ready to get rid of daylight savings time? This is Flashpoint on Local 4.
We're here for it all. Day 1 to year 100. The times you remember and things you'd rather leave behind. Standing by for the late nights, the midday surprises, and everything in between. We're here for it all, and always will be. Blue Cross Blue Shield of Michigan. Confidence comes with every card.
In times like these, we have to believe in each other.
And we believe that you'll do the right thing.
When it comes to stopping the spread of COVID.
Follow the 3 W's.
Wear a mask.
Wash your hands. Watch your distance.
And when it's your turn to get the vaccine, take your shot.
It all comes down to the golden rule.
Treat others the way you want to be treated.
We're so close, Michigan.
We can do this together.
Hi, I'm David Hall, and now is the time to refinance your home loan. Take years off your loan, lower your payment, consolidate some debt. Hall Financial's ready to help you achieve your goals. Don't miss out on historically low rates. Go to davidhallmortgage.com.
Spectacular spring savings have arrived at Bill Fox Chevrolet in Rochester Hills. Come in today and check out some of these amazing lease specials.
Right now, lease the 2021 Malibu RS for just $179 a month.
Local 4 Defender Karen Drew, uncovering the stories that affect you, fighting for change, getting results. She revealed a human trafficking survivor's push for a big change in the law.
I was charged with prostitution when I had escaped.
The next day, results. Then, dangerous violations exposed.
And some riverfront properties are ignoring the city's demand to make corrections.
Again, results. Karen Drew, Sean Lay, the Local 4 Defenders.
Welcome back. If you missed Flashpoint last Sunday morning, maybe it was because you forgot to set your clocks ahead. Or maybe you did, but you were just a little too tired to get up. Maybe you felt a little off for several days this week. It happens every spring when we lose that hour, and many of us wonder how this anachronism has stuck around for so long. Why do we still move this hour around twice a year? In fact, several senators last week suggested it's time to ditch the fallback spring forward dance. Let's talk about it with one of the world's foremost authorities on the subject, the author of Seize the Daylight, Dr. David Perot. David, I'm really fascinated by this topic because it is something that almost everybody I know has an opinion on. A lot of people would like to get rid of it, especially a lot of health experts, but it's much more complicated, I think, than most of us realize.
Yes, it is. People think about the problems of the changing the clock, losing an hour's sleep. And that's not pleasant for anybody. And some people it doesn't affect very much. Some people it affects for several days.
Yeah.
But you have to remember that the reason we do that is that it makes an effect for the next 4 months. So if we change the clock now, it actually affects 8 months in the summer and 4 months in the winter. So the effect of the few days near the change is really a small effect compared to the big effect of having daylight saving time in the summer and standard time in the winter, which I personally think is an excellent plan.
We actually tried to drop this before, and it didn't last. Talk about that.
Well, in 1974, there was an oil embargo, which led to an energy shortage, and Congress put in a 2-year temporary program of year-round daylight saving time. And for most people, it sounded good before it got in. But as soon as we had daylight saving time in the middle of winter, people realized that it was making the winter mornings very dark and very cold. And it became very unpopular very quickly. And so even though it had been put in only as a temporary 2-year plan, Congress got rid of the second year of it and got rid of it right after that first year because it was so unpopular. So we have tried it on a nationwide basis, and we have found that nobody liked it.
And Detroit is one of the cities that I think that you believe would be impacted the hardest. In fact, any city that is at the far western edge of its time zone would kind of see the worst of it, right? If we did away with it.
The more north and the more west, the more problem. And Detroit is at the northwest part of the time zone. And so Detroit would have sunrises in the middle of winter of 9 a.m. Grand Rapids would be 9:15, and the Upper Peninsula of Michigan would be 9:30 or later. So many people would be getting up in the pitch dark, going to work in the pitch dark, and sending their kids to school in the pitch dark. And that's what became very unpopular when we tried it before.
We seem to believe that this is really attached to kind of an agricultural calendar decision from many years ago. Is that fair? And in the end, though, has it actually benefited us beyond the farm?
Actually, it's really incorrect, completely incorrect. Somehow that myth has gotten around.
Yes, it has.
But the actuality is that from the very beginning, the main group that was against daylight saving time from 1905, when it was first introduced in England, or at least proposed in England, was the farmers. The farmers and the agricultural people, and still today around the world, the farmers are one of the groups against it because they can't follow the clock. In general, they have to follow the sun. And when everyone else follows the clock, it puts them out of sync with everybody else. It's really more popular for the urban people. And it's always been that way.
Now, so we again, as I mentioned, we again have a group of senators, and this seems to come up every year where somebody seems to sort of challenge this notion and talk about how antiquated it is, and let's just get some sense about it again, common sense back into just keeping the clocks. Do you think that this push has any better chance than any of the dozens that we've seen before, or when we think it all out, for the reasons that you've given us, do we just probably tend to stay with what we have?
Well, it's hard for me to judge the politics. That's not really my expertise. But I can tell you this, a lot of the publicity has been about the problems of the first few days, the problems that are caused by people losing sleep, and maybe you get some more traffic accidents and things like that because people are sleeping that first few days.
Yeah.
But you have to consider, first of all, that what we're talking about is a change that affects 8 months in the summer and 4 months in the winter. So an effect on a few days is not, comparatively very important. Second, losing an hour is no different than going from Chicago to Detroit, or from London to Paris, or from Beijing to Tokyo. People have been changing time zones and losing an hour all around the world all the time, and somehow they survive it. It's not a big deal for most people. In fact, when you travel, what you normally do is if you think you're going to lose some sleep, you prepare a little. Maybe you go to sleep a little earlier on the day before or the day you're going to travel because you know you're going to lose an hour.
There you go.
And I think the same thing could happen with people for the normal daylight saving time. If people just prepared a day or two beforehand and got a little extra sleep, I think it might eliminate many of the problems that we do have on the transition times.
We don't think of jet lag as being for a 1 hour time change. It's so right. Dr. David Perot, really fascinating stuff. Great to have you on the program. Thanks so much for your time.
Happy to be with you, Deb.
You bet. That's going to do it for us. Meet the Press coming up next. Have a great week. We'll see you next Sunday at 10 a.m. for Flashpoint.